Welcome to the Liberated Leader podcast. I'm your hostess, B. Chan. Together, we'll connect with leaders in the psychedelic space and explore the creations they birthed into this world, all in hopes to bring the psychedelic renaissance into the 21st century and spread the message of inner healing. Because when we heal ourselves, we heal the world. So, let's get liberated. Welcome to this week's segment of Random Reflection. Hey everyone, welcome back to season 2 of the Liberated Leader podcast. So today I want to discuss important dates to keep in mind to celebrate. So I think we all know that 4/20 or April 20th is International Cannabis Day. Did you know that 4/19, April 19th, is also an important date? It's Bicycle Day. It is the anniversary, like the first time that the chemist Albert Hofmann, he took or ingested LSD and he rode his bicycle throughout Switzerland. And so April 19th has marked the international holiday for acid. There's also April 20th, 9/20, which is Magic Mushrooms Day. I also know that day as like World Psychedelic Day, but maybe that just coincided with a summit that was called World Psychedelic, and I thought it was the same thing. So according to this Rolling Stone article, 9/20 is Magic Mushrooms Day. And a little history behind that is, so basically 9/20 is inspired by 4/20 as a day for activists and enthusiasts to come together and talk about policy reform and maybe even take the medicine itself. So September 20th fosters a similar spirit. It was chosen because it's at the beginning of the autumn when mushrooms are most plentiful. And because it is close to the equinox, it represents a change in direction. And because it echoes 4/20 and the successful movement of marijuana decriminalization and legalization. So I will link out to all these articles and other media resources in the show notes, so you guys don't have to worry about remembering. And another day that I want to talk about is Thank You Plant Medicine Day, which just passed. It's February 20th, and this year it landed on a Sunday. And my local Vancouver Women in Psychedelics group, we came together and had a little art therapy session where we just reconnected with each other and told stories about how plant medicine or psychedelics has helped us in our daily life, and it was a beautiful time to connect. Okay, so Thank You Plant Medicine is 2/20, and it's relatively new. I think it's the second year that they've done it, and on all over social media they own the hashtag Thank You Plant Medicine. So and they are actually an organization as well that offers sharing circles, news articles. Like they're an educator and advocator in the space for sure. They also have a pledge right now where you can sign up and you can join them in ending the stigma on plant medicine. So they have I'm on their website right now, thankyouplantmedicine.com, and already like more than 5,200 people has joined, and their goal is to get 10,000. So what you're pledging to is actually like joining the movement and telling your story on February 20th, accompanied by the hashtag Thank You Plant Medicine, and that you're agreeing to the fact that you've experienced entheogenic plant medicine or psychedelics and has positively affected your life, and you're pledging to honor both the wisdom offered by indigenous traditions and the knowledge provided by modern scientific research. And lastly, you're pledging to honor all life forms and to take action to help restore the ecological balance on Earth. So all really good things. And I've pledged, so I definitely encourage you to do that as well. So the Thank You Plant Medicine organization, like their mission is really to destigmatize psychoactive plant medicine and psychedelics and their responsible integration into mainstream society. So they dream up a world where these substances are free from stigma and discrimination for personal and collective healing. And they are organizing global waves of gratitude on every February 20th, calling on people to come out with their stories of healing and transformation on that day using that hashtag Thank You Plant Medicine. Their aim is to like raise awareness and end the stigma. And that's the end of that segment. Again, trying out something new. Let me know if you like it or not. Leave a comment on our YouTube channel or message us on Instagram at Akita Agency. Thank you. And that wraps up this week's Random Reflection. The Liberated Leader podcast is brought to you by Akita, a kick in the ass agency. We specialize in helping female psychedelic coaches who want to impact a global community by evolving their heart-based business to reach more people and fucking change the world. We are the first growth consultancy that provides website, branding, and evergreen funnel solutions at the intersection of marketing, technology, and design. As a complimentary gift to our listeners who are interested in the healing potential of psychedelics, we personally curate an ever-growing list of psychedelic coaches, guides, therapists, and clinics in North America that meet our standards of operation for you to have a safe, guided, intentional journey with. Just click on the link in the show notes and enter your email to get access. And now on to the conversation with this week's podcast guest. Hi, everyone. We have a special guest with us here today. Her name is Ana Badila, and Ana is a student of life, soul searcher, and deep diver into layers of reality and consciousness. She left her comfortable and steady growing career as a special needs specialist back in Romania to go explore and live across the world, starting from zero in Canada. She thought she was looking for adventure when in fact she was looking for herself and the courage to be fully self-expressed. After 9 years of soul searching, she found her Northstar, her why, to inspire and empower those around her through presence and example. She found that psychedelics and play are a great combination to heal trauma, connect with herself, and allow the divine expression to pour through her, manifesting into this reality. She is a third wave psychedelic coach, guiding those who want to design a life that they love based on play, presence, and connection to be fully self-expressed. When you feel stuck in your life and want to bring more of the beauty found during your psychedelic experiences back into your life, she helps you bridge that gap. Welcome to the show, Ana.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure is all mine, seriously. And, with that, I would love for you to elaborate a bit more about your own personal journey and how you came across psychedelics and how you came from Europe to Canada and now in Costa Rica.
Ooh, what the journey that has been. So I left Romania 9 years ago, 2012, and I left Romania because I kind of felt stuck and not quite happy with my life there. I didn't know exactly what I wanted, but I knew that that was not it. So I just ran across the globe. My mom cried, my parents were sad. My friends were like asking me not to leave. But I knew that something inside me was pulling me in that direction. And so I moved across the globe in Canada, starting from zero. And I've been, living there, working there, as a living caregiver at the beginning, working my way up, rediscovering things that I loved, not necessarily doing the same career as in Romania. And 5 years in, still lost, but still more motivated to find parts of myself. I met at Toastmasters, my very best friend Anita, and she was the first one that introduced me to MDMA. And MDMA was amazing because it allowed me to dance on music. It allowed me to free my body and my mind and not be in my head stuck thinking that those around me would judge me. So it freed me from this fear that I had that, I won't be liked, I won't be accepted, I won't be, enough for them. And with that, it unlocked a few parts of me. You know how they say that trauma is stored in the body? I think that my fear was just like keeping me, like my body could never move on music. And as soon as I used MDMA, everything loosened up. And in my mind, it was this aha moment where I realized it's all within me. It's what I create from my mind into the outside that's creating the life I live. And so it really empowered me, and it really made me search even more for what were some of the parts within me that were stuck, that needed, loosening, so I could actually allow this energy, the creative energy, to flow through me freely and express through my human experience. So this leads me to my first LSD experience I had, where it was a truly mystical experience. I was lying down in the sun, and I felt like I was floating above the earth, and all of a sudden my body opened up as a portal, and then the divine creative energy just flew, like went through me and manifested into this reality in like tangible things that humans need on this earth. And that's when it clicked for me. I was like, I need to clear this, which is my body, to allow that to pour through me and really manifest. I think that we are all one, but we are all a single expression of that oneness. And what makes us so beautiful is the fact that if we allow this oneness to pour through us, it's like a crystal, right? You have the beam of light, which is the oneness. It goes through the crystal and it just like comes on the other side as a rainbow. We are the human expression of that oneness. We are the rainbow. And the colors within the rainbow are because of how we filter that oneness and how we filter that creative divine energy. And this is why it makes this reality so beautiful, colorful, rich, and all the same and all different at the same time, you know? Sorry, I went on a long tangent.
No, it's okay. I'm more curious now. Like, so what actually, like in your LSD experience, what did you see was manifesting through you or in your body?
So at that time, I was starting to get used to psychedelics. I have tried mushrooms a couple of times. I have tried MDMA, dancing, and what came onto my radar was the microdosing, actually. The microdosing experience, and I started researching what microdosing is and how I can use it to optimize my life and my experience. And it felt, I had the idea of the microdosing journal within that microdosing experience that I was going through. And I was like, I don't know if I should pursue this because, you know, it's not something that is guaranteed that will pan out or be a success or like help anyone. And I grew up in a family where money was very scarce, and you should not use it just for having fun or for fun projects. So that was a limiting belief I had. And so when I had that LSD experience, I was like, no, you know what? I need to go after this project. I need to put my whole into it and see what comes out of it, right? And so it was amazing to work through my own blockages to see where I was stuck and where I would not want to move forward with the project, and kind of loosen those blockages and find new sides of myself and lean into new edges and discover that I could actually do more that I was allowing myself to. And so the microdosing journal was the first passion project I had that kind of manifested as my passion for microdosing or my desire to learn more. And from there, everything kind of cascaded into where I am right now. If I didn't start that one, and if I didn't put my energy and time into that and working through those blockages, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have felt empowered to do more of this work.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the really amazing things that I've noticed in our industry is that because we're using psychedelics, because we are getting insight from these, you know, plant medicines or like ourselves, we're that much more willing to work through our limiting beliefs, like acknowledging that they are limiting us, and actually take the step to, you know, be courageous and actually go through it anyways. Versus I find that a lot of people who may not be taking psychedelics, they wouldn't even go through that first step. Like they just feel resistance and they're just not going to do it.
Exactly. And one of the greatest things about psychedelics is that they break down everything you thought you knew about your reality and about who you are and how you operate within this arena. And they break down the meaning. And so when you come out of it, you have to make new meaning. And if you like playing with ideas and playing with giving new meaning, let's see what happens if, then you get to see that there is so much power you have in creating a new life for yourself.
100%. I was going to redirect you back. So Odin is the microdosing journal that you've created. And do you want to tell us a little bit about that? And then how did it help you get to that, you know, second project or second step?
Odin. You know, the first time I held Odin in my hands, I cried as if I was holding my baby. It just felt like my legacy. It was that emotional. So, during the creation of Odin, I was also COVID hit and I was working from home. So I had more time and energy to dedicate to it. And I was also microdosing LSD and then trying different also microdosing mushrooms. So kind of trying to see which one helps me best in like finalizing this project. So it's very much based on my own personal experience, in the sense that when I learned about microdosing, there was enough information on the internet that would, get me started. But the thing is that soon I realized that the doses that were recommended for people were often too high. So everyone has a different threshold, a different sweet spot. And so I wanted to emphasize that in the journal, the fact that you have to go through, after the research phase in a microdosing journey, you go into this finding your threshold, finding your sweet spot phase. And so I put in the journal the way I tracked that. And then I also found that tracking systematically your the relationship you develop with microdosing can help you find patterns in your behaviors, in your thoughts, in the way you show up in the world, and that allows you to have better insight into how you operate in the world and allows you to make the changes you need to make. So basically the journal takes everyone through the same kind of process where you do your research. There is a bit of info at the beginning. There is the finding your threshold. So it's very personalized. And then you do the systematic tracking. And then after that, after you've, tracked how you are showing up in the world during days on and off. So the microdosing journal takes you through this process where you do your research, you find your sweet spot, and then you actually do the systematic tracking that you are asked to do during the days on and off. So you see how you react in similar situations with the microdosing and without the microdosing. And after that, you get a really good snapshot of how you operate and the relationship you have with different type of substances. And from my experience, I learned that microdosing mushrooms would make me more open to others, more willing to connect and talk about deep stuff and really be there for the others as support. Whereas on microdosing LSD, I realized that this is very good for focus and for getting my creative ideas onto paper or into a creative project more than connecting with others. And so with that insight, I could choose microdosing mushrooms or LSD for different occasions that would suit me best, just to optimize my experience, really.
That's amazing. So just a quick recap here: from Romania to Canada and still working as a special needs specialist, getting to psychedelics, and then creating your first, microdosing journal, Odin. And then what happened there? Is that around the same time that you moved to Costa Rica, or what was the timeline like?
No. So what happened is COVID got me stuck. COVID also, at the time I was working in an office for a cannabis company as a branding and marketing specialist. All these times I went from being a living caregiver to getting more into the social media marketing, digital marketing, and then eventually doing branding. And for the cannabis company, I learned how to, take an idea and put it into an actual product. And so when COVID hit, I was working from home and eventually I lost that job. So I was left with working on this journal and then left with no job and with a lot of skills in branding and marketing. And so what I decided to do is reach out to smaller companies that would need my expertise. And soon enough, I found a CBD company, very well known in DC, Sunnyside Botanicals. And we had such a great working relationship. We started, I started as working with him for the first 3 months, and he loved, the connection we made. And he asked me to stay longer, so I would work doing marketing for him. And on the side, we started talking about Odin and then other projects with mushrooms. And so I also developed like microdosing kit where one can use that in a more ritualistic way. The mushrooms would come in loose form, so you would actually take and personalize your threshold. And yeah, then some other products that the owner of the company and myself have kind of brought to life. So
that's super cool. Where can we find these products? Are they still available for purchase?
Yes, on some online dispensaries. I can share some links.
Sure.
And the journal is also available on my website.
What was the name of that CBD company?
Sunnyside Botanicals. They have really good CBD products.
And so after you've put out so many products in the real world and found some success with that, and then what happened?
So, before COVID hit, I really wanted to dive into learning how to grow mushrooms. So I found this Fungi Academy. You've probably heard of them. I learned about them before they were even big. So I was like, no, I want to go there. So I was already making plans to leave the country. And COVID hit and I got stuck and I had to reevaluate the situation and see how I can make a living, in Canada. And after 2 years of being in Canada during COVID, I think during COVID, I became part of the psychedelic community, the Vancouver Psychedelic Society that Christoph is part of. And we learning more about psychedelics, experimenting a lot with psychedelics and finding other sides of myself. It was very apparent to me living in Canada was no longer an option. It was no longer fulfilling enough. And I already wanted to leave before COVID. So those combined and really thinking about what does it mean to fully, truly live my life and how do I want to be in service of bringing more of this work that I do into the world and leading through example and showcasing the values I believe in. What does that look like? So moving out of Canada was basically an example of that. It was a reevaluation of everything I was living for and what I wanted to live for and how I can be more true to myself. And so I moved to Costa Rica because Costa Rica is, a place where there are lots of retreats happening, lots of people into psychedelics. So the conversations here are on the same level. I don't have to pretend or I don't have to lower the level of conversation so people know what I'm talking about. And even though it's not like, a hub like Ubud, for example, where people gather and they meet on a daily basis, there is still a lot of people that do similar work. It's like we are connected, and whenever you need support, then you can reach out and people will, that's the feel. So it allows me to stay focused on creating the experiences I want here and also feel supported in this work.
Great. Have we touched upon your Northstar story yet?
Oh, my Northstar.
Yeah.
So my Northstar it's that thing that I think when I was doing vision boards, I like to evaluate my end of the year and do a vision board. And I think 2021, it just hit me. I was putting on a vision board all the things that have kept me alive throughout the years, and inspiring and empowering people has been that. And so that has become my North Star is everything I do, and no matter what I put my effort into, if it's inspiring others to be more of themselves and empowering them through my presence, through my love, through my resources, whatever it is, then I want to do that. And so I've been told that when I give my full presence, that I'm there with people and they feel held and supported. So that led me to want to take the third wave course and become, a coach and a guide. So I could call myself that, even though I have a lot of the skills and qualities. And fire is through living by example. And, I value things like freedom and self-expression and play and healing through play. And so I try to just showcase that, because you can only do it when you embody everything, all the values. Otherwise, it's just words.
100%. And do you feel like that's something that you found now that you moved to Costa Rica? Are there any are you planning to stay there indefinitely or plans to come back?
I mean, I have no idea what's going to happen. The more I'm here, I realized that was actually one of the hardest parts is back in Canada, I felt grounded and I felt at home, but those feelings were very much supported by my external reality. I felt grounded because I was very busy. I had a busy schedule. Everything was predictable. Things would go according to how I planned. And so overworking was my favorite thing to do. And so I landed in Costa Rica and I realized I'm actually not grounded at all. So how can I find ways to ground myself from the inside out? And so, when you move to a new country where nothing is the same, the way people think, the way people behave, the way time flows, the way they make decisions, the way they are reliable or not. So all these things, it's like the internet is not working as you want. And moving a lot. I've also moved quite a bit. I need to find ways in which I could truly feel grounded from within. So hape helped, meditation, walking by the beach and swimming in the ocean, and journaling quite a lot. And obviously staying in touch with friends from Canada and making new friends here. And now I feel, it just hit me one day. I was living in another province and these moments kind of strike you and whenever. So I was in the washroom and it just dawned to me, because my deepest desire is to arrive. When you arrive home, you put the luggage down and you're like, I'm here. And it just felt like that's never going to be my life. I'll never arrive. And so as soon as that kind of came to my mind, well, I cried a bit and then I'm like, actually, I'm ready for this. And yeah, it was a very interesting, thing. And I think that what I need to cultivate is, keep staying grounded, stay with the vision, and everything will unfold in ways in which I cannot predict, and ways in which are best for me and for the vision I have for my life, what I want to bring into this world.
Yeah. Can we speak a little bit more about that? What is your vision? What's in store for you in the future?
Sure. So right now, the thing I'm working on is called Anima Collective. And the vision is creating transformational experiences for creators, thought leaders, people who feel like they want to offer more into this world, but they kind of feel stuck. They don't know where to start. They have blockages, but they know that there is so much creative energy that they want to put out there. And so I want to create experiences where they can come, find themselves, find old sides, shed those old sides, dive into the play, be more self-expressed, find this new life force energy that's residing within all of us, and get strength from that and move forward into envisioning a life by design, or something bigger than themselves, or being more in service, or creating more. And so Momentum Collective is the inspiration for that. They have residencies where people come together, all sorts of visionaries, and they have themes around. So I don't want this Anima Collective to be a one-person show. I want to be the seed for all the other things to kind of come together. And so this is going to challenge my needs to control. And as long as I communicate clearly, I think that it will, allow me to grow even more, So that's what I'm working on. And the first event that's coming up this April is a women's retreat. And the reason it's just for women is because so anima means soul, and anima is also Jung's archetype for the feminine energy. And I feel like in today's world, there is so much masculine energy controlling the narrative and trying to predict and control and be directive and make things happen in certain ways, and it's killing our soul. And I feel like we need to bring more of the feminine, the yin, the life force, the creative, the chaos, where creation happens. And so I've been a lot in my masculine in Canada, where I was working a lot and being very controlling. And so I wasn't allowing myself to be in flow. And only when I came here, I started loosening up and letting go of ideas, being less judgmental around things. It's been quite a journey, really, but I think the world needs more of this flow. And I see a lot of high achievers, women especially, that are so much in the masculine energy. And I think that we need a balance.
I'm resonating with that so hard because I definitely would say that I was one of those. I always thought that I had more masculine energy than I did feminine, but looking back on it in hindsight, it was the environment that I was in working in the corporate world. I was competing with other men, and therefore I felt like I had to bring out more masculine energy. And so as years went on, I just kind of adopted that as this is how I am. This is how I am naturally. This is my default. And until I stepped away, I left Canada, I went to Asia for a few years. Very similar to your journey now, like learning to soften up, learning to embrace my feminine energy and play with what does that look like? What do I feel comfortable and uncomfortable with? And trying a bunch of stuff. Now I feel like I have more of a balance, but I'm still embracing. I'm still working on it.
Oh my God, I love that so much.
What do you think is one thing we as a collective can do to encourage more females to step in and step up in our psychedelic space?
As opposed to cannabis, I think that the psychedelics are already, they bring this feminine energy. So it's like more chaotic, less ways to control. And I think for women to speak up more and to bring more is to actually embody their cycles and be less like men and more like women. So that goes back to the idea that we don't function in a linear fashion. We function in cycles. And so even acknowledging and the fact that throughout the whole month, we have different phases, and really diving, attuning to that, and making the most out of each phase would actually allow us to embody that energy and bring it out more. So some of the women I'm following, they're so inspirational. They're business babes, like really successful women that take 1 week off when they have their period, because that's the time to go inwards, and that's the time to connect with the divine and with the creative energy. And so after that, you have like a very focused period where you are mentally sharp, you know exactly what's the direction, you know how to execute on things. And then again, you have the next phase would be the one where you are nurturing and attuned to others. And so that's when women could be more doing networking, for example, and connecting and doing business development and things like that. And then again, you have the PMS period where you go back inwards and you can be more creative, you can write more, you can have business ideas and all that. And so instead of using psychedelics and microdosing to get rid of PMS, why don't we just celebrate the fact that we are women and we function in this way and allow that to come through. And I think that once we embody our own nature, then the stepping up will happen naturally. But we've been disowning our own nature for so long because we wanted to be as competitive, as successful, as, top level as men, and we don't function the same way. It's biology, and I didn't make that. It's not my design. But we are also meant to be complementary. And so, it's funny because one feedback I got from Christoph was I should let myself be swept off my feet a bit more. Oh. And I was like, oh, I do not do that. And only when I got to Costa Rica, I realized I don't actually. I don't. And I very much like to be in control and predict and create the situation the way I want to experience it. But I think as the feminine energy is like being more present and attuned to what is here can allow men to create a perfect, container for us to blossom. It's like this perfect complementary. I was just trying to tie into the complementary side of, female and masculine, basically.
You mentioned that you were following some business babes. Could you like drop some names so we know who to follow as well?
The one that really comes to mind, that she is part of Fit for Service, and her name is she calls herself Blue, but I think her name is, I can't remember. She has a podcast. I can share it.
Yeah. Share some over. Okay, cool. I love the fact that these business babes take 1 week off during the period. I think I'm going to start doing that too.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I've been doing that here. And one of the edges I've been working through here is I can't work as many hours as I used to in Canada. There are so many factors affecting that, but that's not the main point. The main point is that I was lying down on my porch one day. It was 2 in the afternoon. I was just lying in the sun. It was a Tuesday, and all of a sudden I started feeling ashamed. And I was like, why am I feeling so ashamed? And I realized it's because I've tied my self-worth through to being productive, to putting an outcome out there and showing to the world that I'm valuable for being alive because I'm producing something. And that was just like, really? So yeah.
I think that's interesting that you mentioned that. So, limiting beliefs, when you are microdosing or even macrodosing and you come face to face with one of your limiting beliefs, how would you guide someone through navigating that?
Ooh, it very much depends on where they're at and how open they are. With some people, just telling them, it can help them kind of step out and look at it from an outside perspective. With other people, their defense mechanisms are just so high up and their ego is just like so resistant. You have to create experiential situations where they could feel differently, and then from there kind of gently bring to their awareness that, so have you noticed what happened, and kind of use discrete questions to bring to their awareness the fact that something else has happened. So it's very personalized, and again, feeling into what could work for someone.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's all about how aware are they of themselves already, and are they willing to actually work.
And I had recently a client. He's been very open to everything. Like I think the only person that has been so open to everything I said and taking notes on all the things and being so in awe of all the insights. And I was just thinking, imagining him years back when he would try to do this work, and I almost felt like the only difference between now and then, and why this is sticking, and we'll see if the results will stay long term, but it is because how open and willing to change. It is because he hit like a wall, and the old self no longer serves him, and so living in that old life is no longer an option. So for him, he just wants to go pass through that. And we've been kind of talking about the impact that he wants to make in the world, and the Northstar and the higher vision, and also very high motivator for working through some of the challenges and doing all these releases and regulating his nervous system and staying present and not allowing old conditioning to take over and run the show and tell him how he should be in this very present moment, and just feel more into how everything resonates within, and paying attention to that and exploring that, and it's hard because living presently, it's very hard. Our brain is made to run on autopilot.
Yeah, I think
So,
type of clients who are so open to your suggestions, those are like the best. Those are what I would call dream clients, because like
he's a
you're
dream
like,
client.
right? It's like you're in this, you want to change, you're open to suggestions, you're actually doing what I'm advising you to do. Like, yeah, even if we don't get the results that we want, like I can work with that because you're coachable. Versus the type of people, it kind of feels like the opposite end of that is like you're just pulling teeth. Like they're paying you, but then they're not, nothing you're saying is going in. And then they just show up time and time again with like kind of like same issues, same challenges, and not having made a lot of progress at all. And that, I think, as a coach or an instructor, educator, anybody really who's trying to help somebody else, that's a bit defeating as well.
It is, and we also take it so personally, right? And that's the practice for us as coaches, is like knowing who we want to work with, and also the fact that it's not personal. It's funny, when I was a special education teacher back in Romania, it was for 5 years, and I was teaching these children with severe mental disability. So their cognitive level was around 2 years old, where they were like 6. And then I walked through them for 5 years through their life, and they ended up being 12 or whatever the math is, 11. And like looking back, there was not much progress. And it always felt like it was my fault. And I remember I used to be so sad to go home crying that this happened and that didn't happen. And, and it's the same with clients. It's like, it's not personal, and some people are not ready yet. And it is what it is. You do your best. You create the best experience for them to have insights and the transformation. And you that's all you can do, really.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
It's definitely like it is a co-creation in a sense, because like you need participation from both sides. So if it's just all one way, like that's not going to work out either. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a co-creation, and there are, agreements and reminders that go into this co-creation, and fighting old patterns and fighting, conditioning and all those, and fears and all those type of things.
Did we cover everything that we wanted to talk about, or do you want to go more into the retreats and experiences that is in Costa Rica that you offer?
Well, I think I kind of touched on the themes that will, be present throughout the retreat. I do want to say that if anyone is interested and wants to come down here, I am having, discovery calls for the next little while. So anyone that feels like there is more to life than what it is right now and wants to bring more of their true essence outwards, they don't know how to do it. And also feel connected with like-minded women that are doing the same work, that, complement their skills and their knowledge and their practices. The one thing I want to bring into this retreat is like, what does it feel like to live consciously, to make everything a ceremony, to cultivate beauty, and to be less competitive and more collaborative? And it's a dive inwards type of journey, but also expression outwards, and how that kind of plays into the others. And yeah, it's gonna be very beautiful. So anyone who's interested, you can just reach out and we'll have a conversation.
Good. And where can our listeners find you online?
On Instagram. I'll use my Microdosing Guru accounts to promote this retreat, and my website, microdosingguru.com.
So your handle is
Microdosing Guru with double G in the middle.
Got it. Okay, good. With that, we're going to move over to lightning round. Basically, I'm going to ask you some questions, rapid fire style, and then you're going to answer in like one word or one phrase.
Okay, let's do it.
Cool. What is one resource that you'd recommend people to reference for psychedelics?
Third Wave and Microdosing Institute, Women on Psychedelics, and Fungi Academy.
Okay. Sounds good. Who do you follow in the psychedelic space?
I follow all the resources I already mentioned, and Double Blind Magazine. I love their work. Karina from Fungi Academy. She's fantastic, and I love her work. A lot more people.
What does a person need to be happy?
Full presence and gratitude.
What's your favorite medicine?
Ketamine.
Okay. Has that changed?
No, it's always been ketamine.
Oh, okay. If you won the lottery and was set for life, how would you spend your money?
Doing more of this work, the same thing, yeah. And travel more.
Travel more. What country or cities is next on your bucket list?
Guatemala, back to Europe, Amsterdam most likely, Portugal, and then Bali maybe.
All the nomad hotspots.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Last question here. What do you want the world to know?
That there is hope for humanity and for higher levels of consciousness and more fulfilling living.
I think so too. Well, thank you so much, Ana, for your time and for sharing your story and for just being present here with us. I really appreciate that.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure.
Pleasure is all.
I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Liberated Leader podcast. If you found value in today's episode, then please, 1, leave us a positive review, share it with a friend. 2, join our tribe on social. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Until next time, to your liberation and beyond.